everybody, welcome to Two Hearts Crochet. In this video I'm going to show you how to do the raised ripple stitch. I'm doing this video primarily to go with the ripple stitch panels that are part of the Marine Life blanket. So if you haven't taken a look at that blanket, check it out. I think you're going to like it. But what these panels do is they're kind of like a big thick border that you add to the squares for your blanket. It's a really easy stitch, but it's a little tricky if you haven't done it before. It's kind of hard if you're a visual person like I am to kind of wrap your mind around it when you're first starting out. So I wanted to do this video tutorial to kind of help you out and get you going in the right direction. What I have here in front of me is I have a size G hook. This is a 4mm hook, and then I have some worsted weight yarn. In the Marine Life blanket, I use double knit yarn with the G hook, but if you're using worsted weight, that works fine too. For the purpose of this tutorial, this will work just great. Alright, so to get started, I'm just talk you through a little bit of what we're going to do. The ripple stitch is really great. I call it the ripple stitch. It's also called the raised ripple stitch. It's kind of an alternating stitch where you have a double crochet and then a front post treble crochet and then a double crochet, back and forth, and then on the next row you kind of switch them up. So you have front post treble crochet, double crochet, front post treble crochet, and so on all the way across. You'll see when we get going here. In this video, I'm going to get you started on how to work the decorative panel type number 2 for the Marine Life blanket. So if you're watching this video on the page for part 14 of the crochet along, just scroll down a little ways, you'll find the full written instructions for all 3 of the different panel types that we're making. They're fully written out for you, so if you don't want to watch the video, you can just skip ahead to the written instructions if you want. Or if you're having trouble with the written instructions, this video will show you how to get started with panel type number 2. This particular panel is a shorter panel, so it's not very wide, but it's very, very long and skinny. It's the panel that goes, let's see here. There's 4 of them that you'll make, and this particular one, panel type number 2, there'll be 4 of them, 1 on either side of the blanket, and then 2 kind of acting as columns in between squares. Okay? I chose this one to do for the video because it is the shortest one to start, so we can do a few rows and it won't take too long. To get started, we're going to make a slip knot, just like so. And then we're just going to put that on our hook here. I'm going to pull the tail to tighten it up a bit. There we go. And we're just going to go ahead and chain 19. So we'll count them out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Alright, so now we got this kind of short chains here, so you can see it's going to be about this wide, a little bit shorter because some of these chains here, of course, are our turning chain. So it's going to be probably about yay wide. That's maybe 4 inches, okay? Now, what we're going to do next is we're just going to start in the 4th chain space from the hook. We'll count them out here. So we got 1, 2, 3, and there's the 4th one. So I'm just going to do a double crochet into that 4th chain space. And remember, this is in US crochet terms. Just like that. Okay? And we're just going to double crochet into all of the remaining chains across there. Okay. One important thing to note, with this particular stitch for this entire, all the ripple stitch panels you're going to make, this turning chain that you did here, that's always going to count as your first stitch of the row. Okay, so we'll keep that in mind. It'll become important later on. All right, so we're just going to keep double crocheting across this first row. Pretty straightforward so far, right? You start with this row of double crochets here. It kind of gives you a way to frame the bottom part of the ripple stitch panel. Oops, gets a little twisted there, that chain. And bear with me. I don't usually use this hook, so it feels a little clumsy today in my hand, but that's okay. Alrighty. You can't see it, but I have a mess of yarn over off to the side of this camera here, so it might jump into view in a minute. The first row is always kind of, you know, a little tricky because you got this whole curling thing going on, but that's really okay. As long as you work double crochets all the way across. You should end up with 17 stitches. So you'll have 16, let's see here. Finish this up and I'll show you. So you'll have, oh, almost. There we go. So you'll have 16 double crochets, and then you'll also have that turning chain, which remember counts as stitch, so 17. So we'll count the turning chain as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whoops, I lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, right? Tighten my tail. There's 17 right there. So that's perfect. So now you can kind of see how wide this is going to be, right? If you compare that with the size of my hook, you can see it's not a very wide panel, but it's perfect for this tutorial. All right, so the next step is really easy. We're just going to turn our work, put that back on the hook there. You're going to chain 1 and turn. And then you're just going to do single crochets all the way across. Now remember, that chain that we just did, that chain 1, counts as the first stitch, all right? So you see this opening here where you'd normally work your first stitch. Because that first chain stitch counts as the first single crochet of the row, we're going to skip this first space here and start working into the second one. So we count the chain as the first stitch, work into the second space, and do a single crochet. So that counts as 2, 1 and 2. And we just keep going. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way across. There's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and now we also need to put one into the turning chain of the row below, okay, to get 17. So I'm just gonna stick my hook in there. There's 17. And there you go. And we can count them out too. Going back this way, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then that chain 1, 17. That was our turning chain. All right? So really easy so far. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually start our very first row of ripples, which is really exciting. To do that, we're going to turn our work, okay? Now we're going to chain 3. So there's 1, 2, and 3. This chain counts as the first stitch of the row, okay? So we're going to skip this space right here, right? Because that space is kind of paired with that turning chain, so those go together. So we're not working in that one. And then if you follow the pattern instructions, row 3 for panel type number 2, we did the turn and chain 3, which counts as the first double crochet of the row, okay? Now we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to skip the next stitch. So we're already skipping this one. Skip the next one. And then we're going to do a front post treble crochet around the double crochet of that first row that we did, okay? So if you kind of look at it, right, here's this, I'll pull this off here. Oops, stay put. So here's our turning chain, right? If you skip down to the row of double crochets, that very first row here, you can see here's our turning chain for that. those are kind of on top of each other, right? This space here is kind of on top of that double crochet space, right? Okay, so I'll put this back on my hook here. Now, to do the front post treble crochet, you need to yarn over twice, all right? And we're going to insert our hook. We're not going to work into this space here, right? We're going to insert it actually around the post of the double crochet in the row below. So not the turning chain, but the next double crochet, okay? And we're going to yarn over, pull through, and you want to pull it up a little way so it's a little loose. You don't want it to be super tight and right on top of the work. A little loose is fine. We're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through the last 2 loops. And that is your very first ribble stitch. It is a front post treble crochet. All right. Next, we're going to work a double crochet into the next stitch. So I want you to look real carefully. If we pull the yarn to the front here and pull this front post treble crochet out a little bit, this is the double crochet or the single crochet stitch that we skipped. All right. In the pattern instructions, that's the skip the first single crochet, right? We skipped that one. And the reason we skipped that one was so that the front post treble crochet will lay right over the top of it. All right. So next we need to work our double crochet, and we want to make sure we work it not into that space that we skipped. All right. We want it to work in the next stitch, right? So not this one, but in the next one. Okay. And as long as you pay close attention when you get going, and you don't work into this one, but you work into the next one, you'll get the hang of it. Like I said, it's a little tricky until you get going a little bit. So there's our double crochet. All right, and you can see here's our turning chain for this row, right? That counts as our first double crochet. We have a front post treble crochet, and then another double crochet. So next up, we're just going to go ahead and do another front post treble crochet. So remember, we just yarn over twice. Pull up some yarn here. Okay, so yarn over twice, and then you're going to go ahead and skip this stitch here. All right, we're skipping this double crochet from the row below. We're going to work around the post of the next one, just like that. So yarn over, pull up, yarn over, go through 2 loops, yarn over, go through 2 loops, yarn over, go through 2 loops. And there you can kind of see, pull this off a little bit here. There you can kind of see we've got our turning chain, which is our first double crochet, front post treble, double, front post treble. All right, so you're basically working your front post treble crochets around every other of these double crochet posts in the first row. I hope that makes sense. We'll keep going. Feel free to, pause the video, rewind, replay it as many times as you need. But again, after you do the front post treble crochet, you need to do a double crochet. And if you're confused as to where to put it, which stitch do I put my next double crochet in, you can always pull that treble crochet forward. You'll see where you worked the last double crochet into, right there. This is the stitch that we skipped, because that's the one the front post treble covers up. So you'll know you need to work your double crochet into the next stitch. So if you ever have trouble remembering that, just pull that stitch forward and take a look. Alrighty. Just doing a double crochet, just like that. And then another front post treble. So we're going to skip this one here and work into that one, or around that one, I should say. All right. So pretty straightforward so far. And then again, just double crochet in the next one. And then we do a front post treble, however you say it. There we go. Double crochet in the next one. Front post treble. double crochet. It's really straightforward until you get to the end of the row, and then I'll show you what you need to do at the end of the row. But you just work the same kind of repeating pattern all the way across for row 3 here. My yarn mess. Told you it was there. All right, we're getting real close here. This is a double crochet. This is my last front post treble of the row, okay? You can see I've got in row 1 down below here, I've got 1, 2, and a 3rd post down here, all right? So I'm going to skip this one here and work into the next one. Sorry, around the next one. There we go. Alrighty. And now I need to work my last double crochet. And you can see here, we need to actually work that double crochet right here at the end, okay? Oops, that did not work. Try that again. That's our very last stitch from the row below. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and do our very last front post treble, okay? Let's see here. So we can start to see, ooh, rolling hook. We can start to see we've got a double crochet / turning chain, front post treble, double crochet, front post treble, all the way across, and you can actually count those, all right? So we've got, let's see, this counts as 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, all right? So pretty good there. Okay. Now, we're gonna go ahead and turn our work, right? So we'll go ahead and turn. We're gonna chain 1. And again, that chain 1 counts as the first single crochet of this row. Row 4, we're just single crocheting all the way across, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and skip this first stitch here because that one goes with the chain that we just did. So we'll just work across. There's the second one. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and the 17th one goes into the turning chain. Okay? So there's 17 single crochets, or if you want to think about it this way, 16 single crochets and your chain 1 for turning. Okay, so 17 stitches total. Now we're ready to go ahead and start our second row of ripples, right? And it's going to actually be offset from this first row. Okay, so what we're going to do is put this back on the hook. We're going to turn our work, and then this is row 5. To start row 5, we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And that counts as your first stitch of the row, okay? So now we're going to go ahead and yarn over. We're going to skip this, right? Because this is the very first space. It goes with that turning chain. We're going to skip the next one here. And we're going to double crochet right here, okay? Alrighty. We're going to yarn over twice. We're going to do a front post treble right around here. So it's always going to be, once you get the more rows you have for your trebles, your ripple stitches, it's going to be really easy for you to see where you're going to work your front post treble crochets, because it's going to be within the recessed part of the row below, right? So it's going to be that kind of, that post that's kind of sunken in a little bit. You can see the texture, right? Especially if we go like that. You can see the texture of these 2 front post treble crochets. you're always going to want to work your next row of treble crochets in between the rows below. Okay, so that's going to be right here for us. We'll do a treble crochet here. There we go. Now we're going to do a double crochet on top of, if you can see it lines right up with that treble crochet from the row below. So just double crochets on top of treble crochets on top of double crochets. All right. So again, just working these ripple stitches so that they are offset from the row below. The more rows you have of this, the easier it is to kind of keep track. Alrighty. First few rows are always a little tricky, but if you stick with it, I promise you can do it. Alright, we'll just keep going just a little bit further here. Oops. There we go. Alrighty. So we're getting real close to the end of the row here. And if you're ever in doubt, if you have the correct number of stitches, you know, all you need to do is go back and count. And with the ripple stitch, it's actually really easy because you can count the raised ripples, right? It's where it gets its name, raised ripples, against the double crochets in the background that are kind of sunken below. So we can see we've got this right here counts as our first front post treble, all right? And then we have a double crochet, front post treble, double crochet, front post treble. So we can count, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Next double crochet is 14. The next front post treble is 15. Next double here, 16. And then, whoa, lost my hook there. And then we're going to do another treble crochet, right? Front post treble. We're going to work it around this end post here. So that's our turning chain from before. All right, so just work that in there. And there we go. So now we can see, ooh, sorry, my hook's rolling away from me. Now you can see it's really starting to take shape. So you kind of got these offset ripples here. They kind of zigzag back and forth. That's where the stitch gets its name. It's these raised front post treble crochets offset against each other with the double crochets sunken into the background below. And you'll notice that this is a one-sided stitch, right? So this has this beautiful texture on this side. This side is pretty nice and flat, really. All right. So, and then after this, you would just turn your work and you do more single crochets, and you just repeat the rows as they are listed in the pattern instructions. Okay? Pretty straightforward once you get going. Like I said, the first couple of rows are a little bit tricky, but I hope this video helped you out. When in doubt, always go back and count your stitches. And like I said, that's easy enough to do with these ripple stitches. You can kind of count them in pairs, right? So like if we go back to this row here, row 3, our first row of ripples, we know that we have the turning chain plus this next ripple here, right? So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and 17 on the end. And so you know you have the right number of stitches. If we do that on the row 5 here we just did, we've got the turning chain, double crochet, and then this next ripple here, so that's 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, and 17. Okay? So like I said, when in doubt, just go back and check your stitches, count them out. Hopefully this video helped a lot, but if you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. And in the meantime, happy crafting!